The Law of Gender, Balancing Masculine and Feminine Energies. Written and published by Ciro Irmici. Feel free to subscribe for more content. Now let's get into the book. Introduction. Understanding the Law of Gender, Balancing Masculine and Feminine Energies. In our fast-paced, modern world, many people feel a persistent imbalance in their lives, whether it be in their relationships, their work, or their sense of self. Often, this imbalance can be traced back to a misalignment of two universal forces that exist within all of us: the masculine and the feminine energies. These energies, often misunderstood or oversimplified, are not about gender in the traditional sense, but rather represent fundamental principles that shape the way we interact with the world and with ourselves. The Law of Gender, one of the 7 Hermetic principles, teaches us that everything in the universe contains both masculine and feminine energies. These energies are present in nature, in the cosmos, and in each of us, regardless of our biological sex. The masculine energy is often associated with qualities such as action, logic, and structure, while the feminine embodies intuition, creativity, and receptivity. Neither is superior to the other. They are complementary, and it is their harmonious interplay that leads to balance, fulfillment, and personal growth. In this book, we will explore what it means to balance these energies within ourselves. You will learn how the masculine and feminine forces show up in your everyday life, and how recognizing, nurturing, and harmonizing them can lead to a more fulfilling and integrated existence. Whether you're someone who feels out of sync with your own emotions, or you're searching for more meaningful relationships and work-life balance, this exploration of the Law of Gender offers powerful insights and practical tools for realignment. We will dive into ancient wisdom and contemporary thought, looking at how these energies manifest in both personal and collective experiences. Through the lens of spirituality, psychology, and self-awareness, we will uncover how to heal imbalances, how to empower both your masculine and feminine sides, and how to live a life that is grounded, purposeful, and aligned with the natural rhythm of the universe. By the end of this journey, you will have a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. You will see that balance is not something to be achieved through extremes, but rather through harmony and integration. With this knowledge, you'll be equipped to create a life that reflects both your inner power and your inner peace. Welcome to the exploration of the Law of Gender, where true balance lies not in choosing one energy over the other, but in embracing both as essential parts of who you are. Chapter 1. The Foundations of Universal Laws. The 7 Hermetic Principles and the Role of the Law of Gender. To truly understand the Law of Gender and how it affects our lives, we must first explore the broader framework in which it exists, the 7 Hermetic Principles. These principles, derived from ancient wisdom teachings, are believed to govern the workings of the universe. They offer us insights into how energy flows, how life evolves, and how we, as individuals, can align ourselves with these forces to live more harmoniously. The 7 Hermetic Principles. The Hermetic teachings originate from ancient Egypt, attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, a legendary figure whose wisdom transcended time. His insights were later compiled into what is known as the Kybalion, a text that outlines these 7 universal laws. Each of these laws interacts with the others, forming a cohesive system that explains the nature of existence. Here is a brief overview of each. 1. The principle of mentalism. This law states that the all is mind and that the universe itself is mental in nature. Everything we perceive and experience originates from thought and consciousness. Our reality is shaped by our minds, and through mastering our thoughts, we can change our external world. 2. The principle of correspondence. As above, so below, as below, so above. This principle teaches that patterns repeat across all levels of existence. What happens on a small scale mirrors what occurs on a grand scale, and vice versa. This interconnection helps us understand the unity of the cosmos. 3. The principle of vibration. According to this law, everything is in constant motion. Every particle, every atom, every thought vibrates at its own frequency. By raising our vibrations through positive thoughts, actions, and emotions, we align ourselves with higher states of being. 4. The principle of polarity. This principle states that everything has its opposite: light and dark, hot and cold, male and female. These opposites are two extremes of the same thing, and the key to mastery lies in understanding and balancing them. 5. The principle of rhythm. Life is cyclical, moving in phases and patterns. The principle of rhythm teaches us that for every rise, there is a fall, and for every high point, a low will follow. Understanding this natural flow allows us to navigate life's ups and downs with grace. 6. The principle of cause and effect. Nothing happens by chance. Every action has a reaction. This principle reminds us that our choices create ripples, both seen and unseen. By becoming aware of the causes we set into motion, we can better control the effects in our lives. 7. The principle of gender. The seventh principle, and the one we will explore in depth throughout this book, asserts that gender is present in everything. Masculine and feminine energies exist not only in humans but also in every aspect of the natural world. These forces are necessary for creation, growth, and balance. How the law of gender fits into universal law. The law of gender is perhaps one of the most misunderstood of these 7 principles. Often, people equate gender with biological sex or societal roles, but the Hermetic interpretation is far more profound. According to this principle, gender is a universal force that exists in everything from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy. These forces are not tied to male or female bodies but are instead aspects of energy and consciousness. The masculine energy is the dynamic, active, and outward-pushing force. It is associated with logic, structure, and the drive to create. Think of it as the doing energy, the part of us that plans, organizes, and takes action in the world. On the other hand, the feminine energy is the receptive, intuitive, and nurturing force. It is connected to creativity, empathy, and the ability to flow with life. The feminine energy is the being energy, the part of us that reflects, feels, and cultivates inner wisdom. While each of us contains both of these energies, society often encourages an imbalance, pushing people to favor one over the other. Many cultures reward the masculine traits of action and productivity, while undervaluing the feminine traits of intuition and emotional intelligence. However, to live a truly fulfilled life, we must learn to honor both energies and bring them into balance. Why balance is essential. In nature, we see that life itself depends on the balance between masculine and feminine forces. From the reproduction of plants and animals to the cycles of the moon and sun, the dance between these energies is what sustains growth and harmony. Similarly, in our personal lives, imbalance leads to disharmony. For example, when someone operates primarily from masculine energy, constantly doing, pushing, and seeking control, they may achieve external success but at the cost of emotional exhaustion or a lack of connection to their inner self. On the other hand, someone who is overly immersed in feminine energy might be deeply in tune with their emotions and creativity, but they could struggle with setting boundaries or taking action when needed. The key lies in recognizing when we are overemphasizing one energy and underutilizing the other. By cultivating awareness of these patterns, we can restore balance, leading to more fulfilling relationships, a deeper sense of peace, and greater success in our endeavors. The law of gender, as part of the Hermetic framework, is not merely about understanding masculine and feminine traits. It's about recognizing that these energies exist in every aspect of life and learning how to balance them within ourselves. As we continue through this book, we will explore how these forces play out in our thoughts, emotions, relationships, and even society at large. Chapter 2. What is the law of gender? Understanding masculine and feminine energies. At its core, the law of gender is about balance, a concept that transcends traditional notions of gender identity or societal roles. It speaks to the fundamental forces of creation, growth, and harmony that exist in every aspect of life. Whether we look at the structure of atoms, the cycles of nature, or human behavior, we see these dual energies at work. Masculine and feminine, active and receptive, logical and intuitive. Yet this balance is often misunderstood or oversimplified. To truly grasp the law of gender, we need to redefine what we think of as masculine and feminine. These energies are not tied to biological sex or rigid gender norms. They are universal forces that exist in everyone and everything. By recognizing these energies within ourselves and learning how to harmonize them, we unlock the potential for growth, creativity, and fulfillment in all areas of our lives. The nature of masculine and feminine energies. The masculine energy is outward-facing, dynamic, and focused on action. It is the driving force behind our ambitions, our ability to think logically, and our desire to achieve. It's often characterized by qualities such as decisiveness, strength, and independence. When we tap into our masculine energy, we feel confident in our ability to shape the world around us, to set goals, and to take charge of situations. This energy is essential for creating structure and pursuing our ambitions. On the other hand, the feminine energy is inward-facing, reflective, and nurturing. It is connected to our intuition, creativity, and emotions. Feminine energy allows us to flow with life rather than trying to control it, and it's often associated with empathy, sensitivity, and a deep connection to the self. When we embrace our feminine side, we're able to listen to our inner wisdom, adapt to change, and nurture ourselves and others. This energy fosters creativity, emotional depth, and the ability to heal. Both of these energies are equally important, and both are present in all of us. However, the modern world often emphasizes masculine traits, action, productivity, and logic, while undervaluing the feminine qualities of reflection, intuition, and creativity. The result is that many people feel disconnected from their deeper emotional selves or out of balance with their inner rhythms. Common misconceptions. One of the most significant misunderstandings about the law of gender is the assumption that masculine energy is exclusive to men and feminine energy is exclusive to women. This couldn't be further from the truth. Every person, regardless of their gender identity, embodies both masculine and feminine energies. These energies are not confined to biological sex, but rather are expressions of universal forces. Another common misconception is that one energy is better than the other. In many societies, masculine energy is often praised for its focus on achievement and control, while feminine energy is sometimes seen as passive or weak. But in reality, both energies are vital for a balanced, harmonious life. Masculine energy gives us the strength to take action and overcome challenges, while feminine energy provides the emotional depth and creativity needed for long-term fulfillment. When one energy is suppressed or overemphasized, imbalance occurs. For example, someone who relies too heavily on their masculine energy might become rigid, overly controlling, or disconnected from their emotions. They may struggle with burnout or feel an underlying sense of dissatisfaction despite their achievements. Conversely, someone who is overly reliant on feminine energy may struggle to set boundaries, take decisive action, or assert their needs, leading to feelings of stagnation or helplessness. The goal is not to prioritize one energy over the other but to create a dynamic balance that allows for the fluid interplay of both forces. The law of gender teaches us that true strength lies in this integration. Recognizing these energies in your life. Understanding the law of gender begins with recognizing how these energies manifest in your own life. Think about moments when you felt decisive, driven, or goal-oriented. These are times when your masculine energy was in full force. On the other hand, recall moments when you were deeply creative, emotionally attuned, or reflective. These experiences reflect the presence of your feminine energy. In any given day, we naturally shift between these two energies. For example, you might tap into your masculine energy when solving a problem at work, using logic and determination to get things done. Later, when spending time with loved ones or engaging in a creative hobby, you may shift into a more feminine energy, allowing yourself to feel, connect, and create without a specific outcome in mind. The key to living in harmony with the law of gender is not to force one energy or suppress the other, but to develop the awareness of when each energy is needed. Sometimes, life requires decisive action, focus, and logic. This is when masculine energy serves us best. Other times, we need to be receptive, patient, and intuitive, leaning into our feminine energy to navigate the unknown or foster deep connections. The importance of balance. The law of gender shows us that balance is not about equal amounts of masculine and feminine energy at all times. Instead, it's about the ability to fluidly shift between these energies as circumstances demand. There will be moments in life where action and decisiveness are necessary, and moments where receptivity and reflection are required. Both energies have their place and both are vital to our well-being. When we learn to balance these forces, we become more adaptable, resilient, and whole. We can harness the drive and strength of our masculine energy without becoming overly rigid or disconnected from our emotions. At the same time, we can embrace the emotional depth and creativity of our feminine energy without losing our ability to act and assert ourselves when needed. This balance isn't just important on an individual level, it's essential for society as a whole. When entire cultures overemphasize masculine traits like competition and control, we see a rise in stress, conflict, and inequality. By contrast, when societies nurture feminine qualities like empathy, collaboration, and creativity, we see greater harmony, innovation, and social progress. Just as individuals need balance, so too does the collective. In the following chapters, we'll explore how you can actively work to balance these energies in your own life. We'll look at how masculine and feminine forces influence your relationships, your work, and your inner self. You'll learn practical techniques for cultivating both energies, allowing you to live with more purpose, fulfillment, and harmony. The law of gender is not about choosing one energy over the other, it's about learning to honor both. By embracing these universal forces, you will not only find balance within yourself, but also align with the natural flow of the universe, leading to a life of greater peace and joy. Chapter 3: The Masculine Energy. Understanding the active, dynamic force within. Masculine energy, at its essence, represents the active, dynamic, and outward driving force of life. It is the energy of action, decision-making, and structure. In our daily lives, this energy shows up as the ability to take charge, to strategize, and to create tangible results. Whether we recognize it or not, masculine energy plays a critical role in how we pursue our goals, overcome challenges, and assert our place in the world. However, this energy is often misunderstood. Many people associate masculinity strictly with men, but the truth is that this energy exists in everyone regardless of gender. It is not about being manly or fitting into traditional roles of masculinity. Rather, it is about recognizing the qualities of masculine energy within ourselves. Those qualities that propel us forward, help us take control, and give shape to our ideas. The nature of masculine energy. Masculine energy is often described as linear and focused. It thrives in a goal-oriented mindset, where the steps between point A and point B are clear and deliberate. This energy enjoys direction and thrives in environments where action is necessary. It's the driving force that allows us to move from intention to reality. For example, consider the process of building a house. The initial creative idea, the vision for what the house could look like, is more aligned with feminine energy. But it's masculine energy that draws the blueprint, lays the foundation, and constructs the walls. It's about taking the abstract and turning it into something concrete. Masculine energy is also deeply tied to logic and reasoning. It values structure and order, seeking to create systems that make sense, solve problems, and bring clarity to chaos. In this sense, it provides the foundation for productivity and achievement, making it a crucial aspect of how we function in the world. The strength of action and leadership. One of the defining traits of masculine energy is its affinity for action. It drives us to take the steps necessary to reach our goals. When we're in our masculine energy, we are decisive, assertive, and confident. We feel empowered to take control of situations and lead with purpose. This doesn't mean that masculine energy is about domination or aggression, as it's often stereotyped. True masculine energy is more about assertive leadership. The ability to take charge without overpowering others, to create structure without being rigid. It's about having the courage to make decisions and the clarity to follow through on them. Consider the qualities of effective leaders. They are typically decisive, driven, and focused. They inspire action in others, organize efforts towards a shared vision, and ensure that things move forward. These are all expressions of masculine energy, regardless of whether the leader is male or female. The ability to harness this energy allows people to manage their lives with intention, to move toward their goals, and to make things happen. The role of boundaries and discipline. Another important aspect of masculine energy is the creation of boundaries. Just as the walls of a house provide structure and protection, masculine energy helps us set clear limits. both for ourselves and in our relationships with others. Boundaries are vital for maintaining balance in life, ensuring that we don't spread ourselves too thin or allow others to take advantage of our time and energy. In this sense, masculine energy promotes discipline. It teaches us the value of commitment, responsibility, and perseverance. When we engage our masculine energy, we find it easier to stay focused on our objectives, to push through challenges, and to maintain consistency over time. This discipline can be applied in many areas of life, whether it's sticking to a fitness routine, managing our finances, or working towards a professional goal. Without boundaries, it's easy to feel overwhelmed or lose sight of what's important. Masculine energy reminds us that in order to achieve anything, we must first set clear parameters for how we use our time, energy, and resources. The potential for imbalance. While masculine energy is incredibly valuable, too much of it can lead to imbalance. In a society that often celebrates productivity and achievement above all else, it's common for people to become overly reliant on their masculine energy. When this happens, we may find ourselves becoming rigid, overly controlling, or disconnected from our emotions. Overemphasizing masculine energy can result in burnout. If we're constantly in doing mode, always striving, pushing, and achieving, we may neglect the need to rest, reflect, and simply be. The drive to always be productive can lead to stress and anxiety, as we place unrealistic expectations on ourselves to keep going without pause. Moreover, an excess of masculine energy can cause us to become overly competitive or aggressive. In relationships, it may manifest as a need to dominate or control, rather than cooperate and connect. When we rely too much on masculine energy, we risk losing touch with our emotional intelligence, intuition, and creativity, the very qualities that come from our feminine side. Restoring balance, honoring both energies. To live in harmony, it's essential to balance the masculine and feminine energies within us. While masculine energy drives us to take action and achieve, feminine energy reminds us to pause, reflect, and nurture ourselves. It's this balance that allows us to be both productive and at peace, both powerful and compassionate. When we recognize the need for balance, we can begin to shift our focus. We can honor our masculine energy by taking decisive action and setting boundaries, while also allowing space for feminine energy to flow, through creativity, intuition, and connection with others. For example, after a long period of focused work, a masculine trait, it's important to step back and engage in self-care or creative expression, feminine traits. This might mean taking time to meditate, connect with loved ones, or simply rest. It's in this ebb and flow that we find true balance, where both energies support and enhance each other. Masculine energy plays an essential role in how we navigate the world. It helps us take charge, create structure, and achieve our goals. Yet, like any energy, it must be balanced with its counterpart, the feminine. Too much masculine energy can lead to rigidity, stress, and disconnection from our deeper emotional needs. By honoring both energies within ourselves, we can live more fully and harmoniously. In the next chapter, we will explore feminine energy in greater depth, examining how it complements the masculine and why it's equally vital for a balanced, fulfilling life. Chapter 4: The Feminine Energy. The Power of Intuition, Creativity, and Nurturing. While masculine energy is often characterized by its drive, action, and structure, feminine energy represents the equally essential qualities of receptivity, intuition, and flow. It is the quiet force that allows us to pause, reflect, and connect deeply with our inner world and the world around us. Feminine energy is not passive or weak as it is sometimes misunderstood. Rather, it is a powerful, nurturing force that gives birth to new ideas, emotions, and experiences. Where masculine energy pushes forward, feminine energy draws inward. It is the energy of creativity, the force behind our capacity to imagine, dream, and heal. In a world that often values constant action and productivity, learning to embrace our feminine energy allows us to reconnect with a more gentle, compassionate, and intuitive way of being. The nature of feminine energy. Feminine energy is often described as fluid and intuitive. Rather than moving in a straight line from one goal to another, it flows in cycles, reflecting the natural rhythms of life. This energy is deeply connected to creativity and the ability to nurture. whether it's nurturing a relationship, an idea, or our own emotional well-being. It's about letting things unfold, trusting in the process, and embracing the unknown. At its core, feminine energy is about receiving. This doesn't mean being passive or inactive, but rather being open to what life brings. It's about creating space, whether in your mind, heart, or physical environment, so that new possibilities can emerge. Feminine energy teaches us to be patient and to trust that growth often happens in stillness, in the quiet moments where we allow ourselves to simply be. One of the key aspects of feminine energy is its deep connection to intuition. While masculine energy relies on logic and clear steps, feminine energy operates from a place of inner knowing. It's the gut feeling that tells us something is right or wrong, the quiet voice that guides us when we are unsure. Intuition doesn't always follow a linear path. It's more about sensing the truth beneath the surface, even when we can't fully explain why we know something to be true. Creativity and the feminine. Feminine energy is often described as the energy of creation, not just in the sense of physical birth, but in the way it gives life to new ideas, projects, and visions. This is where the magic of creativity comes in. When we tap into our feminine energy, we allow ourselves to dream, to imagine, and to bring something entirely new into existence. Creativity requires space, and feminine energy creates that space by quieting the mind and letting inspiration flow. This process often doesn't follow a strict plan or schedule. Instead, it unfolds naturally, often when we least expect it. Think of the moments when you've had a sudden flash of inspiration, a new idea, a solution to a problem, or an artistic vision. These moments often come not when we're actively trying to solve something, but when we've allowed ourselves to relax and open up to the possibility of something new. In many ways, feminine energy is the spark of innovation. It doesn't push or force, it invites us to explore and play with possibilities. When we engage with this energy, we become more open to creative solutions, to thinking outside the box, and to exploring uncharted territory. The role of emotions and empathy. Another defining aspect of feminine energy is its close connection to emotions. While masculine energy tends to focus on external actions and results, feminine energy encourages us to look inward, to feel, and to connect with our emotional selves. This energy reminds us that emotions are not a sign of weakness, but a source of wisdom and strength. Feminine energy teaches us to be compassionate, both to ourselves and to others. It's the energy that allows us to be empathetic, to listen deeply, and to hold space for the emotions of those around us. Empathy is a powerful force, and when we cultivate it, we create stronger connections, more meaningful relationships, and a deeper sense of community. In our personal lives, feminine energy shows up in moments of nurturing. Whether we're caring for a loved one, tending to our own needs, or cultivating a creative project, this energy encourages us to slow down and be present. It reminds us that growth often requires patience and care, rather than force or control. In a society that often glorifies productivity and action, the feminine energy of nurturing can feel undervalued. But it is this energy that sustains life, heals wounds, and brings people together. Without it, we can become disconnected from ourselves and others, trapped in a cycle of doing without ever truly being. Feminine energy in everyday life. In everyday life, feminine energy might show up in moments where you feel particularly creative, connected, or in tune with your emotions. It's the energy you draw on when you create art, listen to a friend with empathy, or simply take time to rest and recharge. These moments are often subtle but deeply meaningful. For example, after a long day of work, you might feel drawn to spend time in nature, meditate, or engage in a creative hobby. These are all ways of reconnecting with your feminine energy, by allowing yourself to step out of the constant rush of doing and into the quiet space of being. In relationships, feminine energy helps us to listen deeply and to communicate with compassion. It allows us to understand the needs of others and to create an environment of trust and emotional safety. Whether in romantic partnerships, friendships, or family dynamics, the ability to nurture and care for others is a powerful expression of feminine energy. It also plays a role in self-care. When we practice self-compassion, when we give ourselves the time and space to recharge, we are embracing our feminine energy. This could be as simple as taking a walk, journaling, or spending time in reflection. These acts of self-nurturing are not indulgent. They are essential for maintaining balance and well-being. The potential for imbalance. Just as with masculine energy, an imbalance in feminine energy can lead to challenges. When we rely too heavily on our feminine side, we may become overly passive, avoiding decisions or actions that need to be taken. We might feel stuck, unable to move forward because we are waiting for things to unfold on their own, rather than taking the initiative. Too much feminine energy can also result in boundary issues. If we are constantly nurturing others without setting clear boundaries for ourselves, we may end up feeling drained or taken advantage of. Without the balance of masculine energy to assert our needs and create structure, we may struggle to maintain a healthy balance between giving and receiving. In some cases, an overemphasis on feminine energy can lead to indecision or a lack of direction. While it's important to be receptive and patient, there are times when action is necessary, and relying solely on feminine energy may prevent us from moving forward when we need to. Restoring the balance. To live in harmony, we must balance both the masculine and feminine energies within us. Feminine energy teaches us to be receptive, creative, and empathetic, but it must be balanced with the masculine energy of action and structure. When we honor both energies, we can live more fully, engaging in the world with confidence and clarity, while also nurturing ourselves and others. This balance allows us to move fluidly between states of action and reflection, doing and being, logic and intuition. It is in this dance between the two energies that we find true strength and fulfillment. Feminine energy is the quiet, powerful force that connects us to our emotions, our creativity, and our intuition. It nurtures, heals, and allows us to flow with the rhythms of life. By embracing this energy, we open ourselves to deeper relationships, greater creativity, and a more compassionate way of being. In the next chapter, we will explore how these two energies, masculine and feminine, interact in the natural world, and how we can learn from the balance we see in nature to cultivate harmony in our own lives. Chapter 5. The Balance of Energies in Nature. Learning from the natural world's harmony. The natural world is a master teacher of balance, showing us how masculine and feminine energies work together in perfect harmony. Everywhere we look, whether it's the changing seasons, the life cycle of plants, or the flow of water and air, we can see the interplay of dynamic action and gentle receptivity. Nature doesn't force itself into extremes. Instead, it thrives through balance, using both creation and destruction, activity and rest, to maintain equilibrium. In this chapter, we will explore how these energies manifest in the natural world and what we can learn from observing the cycles and systems that surround us. By understanding how balance is achieved in nature, we can apply the same principles to our own lives, cultivating harmony between our inner masculine and feminine forces. The rhythms of nature, a dance of balance. One of the most profound examples of balance in nature is the cycle of the seasons. Each season holds its own unique energy, and together they form a complete and balanced system. Spring, with its energy of renewal and growth, brings forth the feminine qualities of creation and nurturing. It's a time when the earth awakens, when seeds sprout and flowers bloom, expressing the feminine's capacity for life-giving power. As we move into summer, the energy shifts towards the masculine. Summer is a time of action and abundance, when the days are long and the sun's strength reaches its peak. Crops grow, animals are active, and nature seems to be in a state of constant productivity. This mirrors the masculine drive for action, achievement, and outward expression. Autumn brings the balance back to the feminine. It's a time of harvest and reflection, a moment when nature begins to slow down. The fruits of summer's labor are gathered, and there's a sense of preparing for the inward journey of winter. Autumn invites us to reflect on what we've accomplished, to nurture ourselves, and to let go of what's no longer needed, just as the trees shed their leaves. Winter represents the deepest expression of feminine energy, rest, stillness, and retreat. It's a time for nature to recover, to store energy for the cycle that will begin again in spring. Though winter may seem inactive on the surface, it is a time of inner growth, where life is preparing itself for renewal. It teaches us the value of rest and introspection, both essential feminine qualities. Through these seasonal cycles, nature demonstrates the need for both active and passive energies, showing us that action must be followed by rest and creation by reflection. There is no rush, no urgency, just a natural ebb and flow that sustains life in a balanced and harmonious way. The interplay of creation and destruction. Another powerful way we see the balance of energies in nature is through the process of creation and destruction. These forces are often seen as opposites, but in reality, they are two sides of the same coin, each essential for maintaining the balance of life. Consider the role of fire in a forest. While a wildfire may seem destructive, burning trees and clearing the landscape, it also serves an important purpose. The fire clears away dead vegetation, makes room for new growth, and returns essential nutrients to the soil. After the fire, the land begins to regenerate, often more fertile and vibrant than before. In this way, destruction paves the way for new creation, mirroring the natural cycle of masculine and feminine energy. The masculine energy of destruction, whether it's tearing down an old structure or ending a relationship, can feel harsh or uncomfortable. But it's necessary for growth. Just as the forest cannot thrive without occasional cleansing, we too must let go of outdated habits, beliefs, or relationships to make room for something new. Destruction isn't about violence or harm. It's about clearing space for the next phase of creation, which is a deeply feminine process. In our own lives, we often resist these cycles, clinging to the familiar even when it no longer serves us. But nature teaches us that both creation and destruction are part of a larger, harmonious system. There's a time for building and a time for tearing down, and both are necessary for progress and growth. The yin and yang of natural systems. The concept of yin and yang, originating from Chinese philosophy, offers another lens through which we can view the balance of energies in nature. Yin represents the feminine qualities of receptivity, darkness, and stillness, while yang embodies the masculine traits of activity, light, and movement. These forces are not opposing but complementary, working together to maintain harmony. In nature, yin and yang are always in motion, constantly shifting in response to one another. Day turns into night and night turns into day. The moon waxes and wanes, the tides rise and fall. These natural rhythms are not battles between opposing forces, but dances of balance where each energy flows into and supports the other. A simple example of this balance can be found in the ocean. The tides, governed by the gravitational pull of the moon, flow in and out in a constant rhythmic cycle. The ebb and flow of the ocean reflects the balance of yin and yang, the feminine pull of the moon drawing the water inward, and the masculine energy of the earth pushing the water back out. This constant interplay creates harmony, allowing the ocean's ecosystem to thrive. In our own lives, we can learn to flow with these natural rhythms rather than resist them. Instead of constantly pushing ourselves to achieve, we can recognize when it's time to pull back, rest, and recharge. Just as the ocean tides must recede before they rise again, we too must allow ourselves moments of stillness and reflection if we are to maintain balance and avoid burnout. Lessons from nature for our own lives. Nature offers us endless lessons in balance, if only we take the time to observe. One of the most important lessons is the understanding that life is not a constant push forward. There is no rush to the finish line, no need to always be in a state of doing. Just as the trees take time to rest in winter and bloom again in spring, we too must honor the natural cycles within ourselves. In modern life, it's easy to get caught up in the constant pursuit of productivity, always striving to do more, achieve more, and be more. But this is a path that leads to exhaustion and imbalance. Nature reminds us that rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Just as fields must lie fallow for a season to regain their fertility, we too must allow ourselves periods of rest to restore our energy. Another powerful lesson from nature is the importance of adaptability. Just as animals adapt to changing environments and plants adjust to seasonal shifts, we too must learn to be flexible in how we balance our energies. Sometimes life calls for action and decisiveness, and at other times, it demands patience and reflection. Learning to listen to these cues and respond accordingly is key to maintaining balance. Lastly, nature teaches us the value of interdependence. Every organism in an ecosystem plays a role in maintaining the balance of the whole. Trees provide oxygen, animals disperse seeds, and insects pollinate plants. This interconnectedness shows us that balance is not something we achieve in isolation. It's something we cultivate through our relationships with others, through the give and take of life. Just as a tree cannot grow in a vacuum, we too need the support, connection, and collaboration of those around us to truly thrive. Nature is a living example of balance, constantly shifting between action and rest, creation and destruction, masculine and feminine. By observing the rhythms of the natural world, we can learn valuable lessons about how to balance these energies within ourselves. Just as the earth, the ocean, and the seasons move through cycles of growth and retreat, we too must embrace both the active and reflective aspects of life to find harmony. In the next chapter, we will explore what happens when these energies become imbalanced, both in ourselves and in society, and how we can begin the process of restoring harmony. Chapter 6: The Imbalance and Its Consequences. Understanding the impact of overemphasizing masculine or feminine energies. In our pursuit of balance, one of the most significant challenges we face is recognizing when we have become imbalanced. Modern life, with its relentless focus on productivity, success, and external achievements, often drives us toward an overemphasis on masculine energy, action, control, and logic, at the expense of feminine energy, intuition, reflection, and creativity. This imbalance can manifest in various ways, not just on a personal level, but also within relationships, communities, and entire societies. To understand the impact of imbalance, we need to explore how the overdevelopment of one energy, whether masculine or feminine, can lead to disharmony. By examining the signs of imbalance and its consequences, we can begin the process of realignment, allowing both energies to work together in harmony once more. The imbalance of overactive masculine energy. In many cultures today, there is a clear tendency to prioritize masculine energy. Society rewards traits such as ambition, decisiveness, and competitiveness, often at the cost of softer, more nurturing qualities. The result is that many people, especially in professional or leadership roles, may find themselves operating predominantly from a place of masculine energy. An excess of masculine energy often leads to overwork and burnout. When we focus exclusively on doing, achieving, and pushing forward, we lose touch with the need to rest and replenish ourselves. The drive to be constantly productive can result in stress, anxiety, and physical exhaustion, as we ignore the signals from our bodies and minds that we need time to recharge. This imbalance pushes us into a cycle of relentless action, where the fear of slowing down leads to deeper levels of burnout. Emotionally, an overactive masculine energy can result in emotional disconnection. By constantly prioritizing logic, action, and control, we may suppress our emotions or dismiss them as irrelevant. This can lead to feelings of numbness, isolation, or difficulty connecting with others on a deeper, emotional level. Relationships may suffer as a result, with communication becoming transactional rather than empathetic, and conflict escalating due to the lack of emotional attunement. In extreme cases, an excess of masculine energy can manifest as rigidity or authoritarianism. The desire for control can turn into a refusal to accept change or to consider perspectives that don't fit neatly into a logical framework. This can lead to inflexibility in decision-making, strained relationships, and a resistance to creativity or intuition, both of which are essential for personal growth and problem-solving. The consequences of overactive feminine energy. On the other hand, while much less common in today's fast-paced world, it's possible to become overly reliant on feminine energy. This imbalance is less celebrated by society, but it can still have significant consequences for individuals and relationships. When we are too deeply immersed in feminine energy, we may struggle with indecision or a lack of direction. Feminine energy, with its focus on intuition, creativity, and receptivity, is less concerned with clear goals or structured plans. While this openness can be incredibly valuable, an overemphasis on it can lead to a sense of drifting through life without a clear path or purpose. Decisions may feel overwhelming, and action may be delayed or avoided altogether, leaving us stuck in a cycle of inaction. Another consequence of excessive feminine energy is lack of boundaries. The nurturing and empathetic nature of the feminine can sometimes lead to an overextension of care for others, to the point of neglecting our own needs. This can manifest in personal relationships, where we give too much of ourselves, or in professional settings, where we fail to assert boundaries or take ownership of our time and energy. Without the assertiveness and structure of masculine energy, we may find ourselves overwhelmed by the demands of others, unable to say no when necessary. Emotionally, too much feminine energy can result in oversensitivity or emotional overwhelm. While being in tune with emotions is a strength, without the grounding of masculine energy, we can become overly reactive or easily hurt. This may lead to a feeling of being constantly overwhelmed by the emotional weight of life, with no clear way to process or address these feelings. Emotional vulnerability, while essential for deep connection, needs the balance of emotional strength and resilience to prevent us from becoming lost in the tides of our own feelings. The impact of imbalance on society. Just as individuals can become imbalanced, so too can entire societies. In fact, much of the modern world operates from a place of excessive masculine energy, prioritizing productivity, efficiency, and control over intuition, creativity, and emotional intelligence. One of the most visible effects of this societal imbalance is the disconnection from nature. The industrial and technological advances that have shaped the modern world, while remarkable in many ways, have often come at the expense of our connection to the natural world. The drive to conquer, extract, and dominate the Earth's resources reflects an overemphasis on masculine energy, control without care, action without reflection. The result is environmental degradation, climate change, and a growing sense of alienation from the rhythms of nature, which are inherently feminine in their cycles of growth, decay, and renewal. This imbalance also plays out in the way societies structure work and success. The emphasis on constant productivity, long hours, rigid deadlines, and the pressure to always be achieving, leaves little room for the feminine qualities of reflection, rest, and nurturing. Burnout, stress, and the decline of mental health are often the results of living in such a system, where people are valued more for their output than for their inner well-being. At a societal level, the overemphasis on masculine energy can also be seen in conflict and competition. Political and economic systems often prioritize power and control, leading to conflicts that could be avoided through empathy, cooperation, and creative problem-solving. The lack of feminine energy in these systems, where nurturing relationships and fostering community are undervalued, results in a world where division, inequality, and competition are rampant. Healing imbalance, restoring harmony. The path to healing imbalance, whether on an individual or societal level, begins with awareness. We need to recognize where the imbalance lies in our lives, whether we're leaning too heavily on masculine energy, constantly pushing ourselves to the brink of exhaustion, or whether we're overly immersed in feminine energy, avoiding action or boundaries. Healing requires us to intentionally cultivate the energy we are missing. For those who are over-reliant on masculine energy, the practice of slowing down, listening to intuition, and embracing creativity can restore balance. This might involve taking time for reflection, allowing space for rest, or engaging in practices that foster emotional connection, such as journaling or meditation. For those who struggle with an overabundance of feminine energy, the work lies in developing structure, discipline, and the courage to take action. Setting clear goals, creating boundaries, and taking decisive steps toward those goals can help integrate the masculine energy needed for balance. At a societal level, healing imbalance means rethinking how we value work, success, and progress. We need to create systems that honor both action and rest, both achievement and care. It requires a shift in priorities where collaboration, empathy, and sustainability become just as important as productivity and control. When masculine and feminine energies become imbalanced, the consequences can be felt deeply on personal, relational, and societal levels. An excess of masculine energy leads to burnout, emotional disconnection, and rigidity, while an overemphasis on feminine energy can result in indecision, lack of boundaries, and emotional overwhelm. The key to healing lies in recognizing where the imbalance exists and consciously cultivating the energy that has been neglected. In the next chapter, we will explore practical ways to heal the masculine and feminine energies within ourselves, offering tools and techniques for restoring harmony in our daily lives. Healing the masculine and feminine within. Practical steps toward balance and wholeness. Finding balance between masculine and feminine energies is not just an intellectual exercise. It's a lived experience that requires intention, awareness, and practice. Most of us naturally lean toward one energy more than the other, depending on our upbringing, personal experiences, or the demands of our environment. However, if we ignore the need for balance, we may feel disconnected from our true selves, caught between too much action and not enough reflection, or too much introspection and not enough movement. Healing the imbalance between these energies involves tuning in to what we truly need, integrating the qualities of both energies, and learning to shift fluidly between them as life requires. This chapter focuses on how we can actively restore balance through daily practices and shifts in perspective, creating a harmonious relationship between our inner masculine and feminine forces. The process of becoming aware. Healing begins with awareness. Before we can restore balance, we must first recognize where imbalance exists. Many of us operate on autopilot, reacting to the demands of life without stopping to notice whether we're acting from a place of imbalance. The first step in healing is to develop a practice of self-awareness, allowing us to observe our patterns and behaviors without judgment. Awareness can be cultivated through simple, reflective practices like meditation or journaling. These practices give us space to step back and notice where we might be leaning too heavily on one energy or neglecting the other. For instance, after a busy day filled with constant action and decision-making, take a moment to ask yourself, have I allowed space for reflection or rest? Similarly, after a period of introspection or creativity, consider, have I taken the necessary steps to bring my ideas into action? Awareness is not about forcing change, but about gently noticing where we are and how we feel in relation to the energies within us. It's the starting point from which we can begin to adjust, bringing more harmony into our daily lives. Embracing stillness and creativity. One of the most powerful ways to heal an overemphasis on masculine energy is by embracing stillness, rest, and creativity, qualities that are deeply aligned with feminine energy. In a culture that often celebrates constant action and productivity, it can feel counterintuitive to slow down. Yet, without rest, we become depleted, unable to sustain the very action we strive for. Stillness is a form of nourishment for the feminine within us. It allows us to tune into our inner wisdom, to listen to the subtle cues of our body and intuition. This doesn't mean sitting in silence for hours each day, but rather finding small moments of pause throughout the day. It could be a few minutes of deep breathing before starting work, a walk in nature without distractions, or simply sitting quietly with a cup of tea. These moments of stillness allow us to recharge, to reconnect with our inner self, and to create space for creative insights to emerge. Creativity, too, is a vital expression of feminine energy. Whether it's painting, writing, cooking, or even problem-solving in unconventional ways, creativity allows us to tap into a state of flow, where we are guided by inspiration rather than rigid logic. In this state, we are not bound by strict goals or outcomes, but rather open to what emerges naturally. Creativity heals the overworked, structured masculine by inviting us to play, explore, and imagine without limits. Taking decisive action. For those who find themselves overly immersed in feminine energy, lost in reflection, emotion, or creativity without grounding it in reality, the process of healing involves cultivating the masculine qualities of action, discipline, and direction. Feminine energy, while beautifully expansive, needs the structure of masculine energy to bring its ideas and visions into form. Action doesn't have to be grand or overwhelming. Often, healing the balance between energies involves taking small, decisive steps toward our goals. This might mean setting clear intentions for the day, breaking down larger tasks into manageable actions, or making a decision that has been avoided. When we pair the expansive, intuitive nature of feminine energy with the focus and determination of masculine energy, we begin to see real progress in our lives. For example, if you've spent time reflecting on a new creative project, the next step might be to take concrete action. Whether that's setting aside time to work on it, gathering the materials you need, or sharing your idea with someone who can support you. By engaging the masculine energy of action, you bring your creative vision to life. Discipline also plays an important role in balancing feminine energy. Setting boundaries, whether in your personal life or with your time, helps ensure that your energy is directed toward what truly matters. Discipline doesn't mean rigidity. It's about creating a framework within which your feminine energy can flow freely without becoming scattered or overwhelmed. Nurturing emotional balance. Our emotions are a powerful part of feminine energy, and learning to nurture emotional balance is key to healing. Many of us have been taught to suppress or avoid our emotions, particularly in environments where logic and reason are prized. But emotions are not a hindrance. They are a source of deep wisdom and connection. Learning to listen to and honor our emotions without being ruled by them is a vital part of balancing feminine and masculine energy. To nurture emotional balance, it's important to create space for feeling. This could be as simple as allowing yourself to acknowledge how you feel in a given moment, rather than pushing it aside. Journaling can be an effective way to process emotions, helping you to clarify what you're experiencing and why. At the same time, balancing masculine energy involves cultivating emotional resilience, the ability to experience emotions without being overwhelmed by them. Resilience allows us to feel deeply without losing our sense of direction or becoming stuck in emotional states. This is where the masculine qualities of strength and stability come into play. By learning to hold space for our emotions while also maintaining perspective, we integrate the nurturing, receptive feminine with the focused, grounded masculine. Honoring the body's wisdom. One of the most powerful ways to restore balance between masculine and feminine energies is by reconnecting with the wisdom of the body. The body is a natural expression of balance. It knows when to rest and when to move, when to eat and when to fast, when to engage and when to withdraw. However, in the rush of modern life, we often override the body's signals, pushing it beyond its limits in the name of productivity. Honoring the body's wisdom means listening to its needs and treating it with care and respect. This might involve slowing down when you're tired, taking breaks throughout the day, or engaging in practices like yoga, tai chi, or dance that help you connect with your body's natural rhythms. Movement is a powerful way to integrate both masculine and feminine energies, whether it's a strong, focused workout that embodies masculine energy or a more fluid, meditative movement that taps into the feminine. By tuning into the body, we learn to respect the natural cycles of energy and rest. We become more in tune with when it's time to take action and when it's time to pause. This connection to the body helps ground us, allowing us to move through life with more balance and ease. Finding balance in relationships. The dance between masculine and feminine energies also plays out in our relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or professional. In relationships, we often mirror each other's energies, sometimes unconsciously, creating dynamics that reflect either balance or imbalance. If one person in a relationship tends to take on a predominantly masculine role, always making decisions, taking charge, and driving the action, while the other assumes a more feminine role, focusing on nurturing, emotional connection, and reflection, this can create a dynamic where both parties feel out of sync. The key to healing is not for one person to dominate the other, but for both to cultivate balance within themselves. In relationships, healing the imbalance might mean practicing better communication, where both parties can express their needs clearly, a masculine trait, while also listening with empathy and care, a feminine trait. It could involve shifting roles when necessary, allowing space for both partners to take turns leading and nurturing, creating a more dynamic and harmonious connection. Healing the masculine and feminine energies within us requires conscious practice and awareness. By embracing stillness, creativity, and emotional balance, we cultivate the feminine energy of intuition and care. At the same time, by taking action, setting boundaries, and fostering discipline, we honor the masculine energy that helps us create structure and direction. Through this integration, we find a deeper sense of harmony, both within ourselves and in our relationships with others. Chapter 8. Relationships and Gender Energies. The dynamics of masculine and feminine energies in connection with others. Human relationships are one of the most powerful arenas where the balance, or imbalance, of masculine and feminine energies plays out. Whether in romantic partnerships, friendships, or family dynamics, the dance between these energies is always present. When balanced, these energies can create deep, meaningful connections filled with mutual respect, growth, and understanding. However, when imbalanced, they can lead to tension, misunderstandings, and emotional distance. At its core, every relationship reflects a balance of giving and receiving, doing and being, leading and nurturing. These dynamics are not tied to gender in the traditional sense. Rather, they are expressions of the universal masculine and feminine energies that exist in everyone. Understanding how these energies interact in relationships can help us foster healthier, more fulfilling connections. The flow of energy between two people. Every relationship has its own unique rhythm, and much of that rhythm is shaped by how masculine and feminine energies flow between the individuals involved. In some relationships, there is a natural tendency for one person to express more masculine energy and the other more feminine, but this doesn't mean these roles are fixed or unchanging. Ideally, both people are able to fluidly move between these energies depending on the needs of the moment. When two people are in harmony, the exchange of energies feels natural and balanced. One person may take the lead in a situation, offering guidance, structure, and direction, while the other offers support, empathy, and emotional insight. This doesn't mean that one person is always the leader and the other always the nurturer. Rather, the roles can shift, with each person bringing forth different qualities as the relationship evolves. This dynamic interplay creates a sense of partnership, where both people contribute equally but in different ways. In romantic relationships, this balance of energies can often feel like a dance, where one person's action, masculine energy, invites the other to respond with receptivity, feminine energy, and vice versa. This back-and-forth exchange creates intimacy and connection, allowing each person to feel seen and valued for their unique contribution to the relationship. Imbalance and its impact on relationships. When the balance of energies in a relationship becomes skewed, it can lead to frustration, misunderstanding, and disconnection. One common issue is when both individuals in a relationship lean too heavily into their masculine energy, creating a dynamic of constant competition or conflict. This often happens when both people feel the need to control, direct, or lead, resulting in power struggles or an inability to truly listen to one another. In these cases, the relationship can become tense and rigid, with neither person willing to soften or yield. The emphasis on action and logic leaves little room for emotional connection or empathy, and conversations may feel transactional rather than meaningful. Over time, this can lead to emotional distance, as both individuals are caught in the need to win rather than collaborate. On the other hand, if both people are overly immersed in feminine energy, the relationship may feel passive, stagnant, or indecisive. Without the grounding force of masculine energy to provide direction and structure, the relationship can lack forward momentum. Decisions may be delayed, boundaries may become unclear, and both individuals may feel lost or overwhelmed by emotions without a clear path forward. Imbalance also occurs when one person consistently occupies one role without the ability to shift. For instance, if one person always takes on the masculine energy, making decisions, setting boundaries, and providing structure, while the other remains in a passive, nurturing role, it can create resentment over time. The person in the more active role may feel burdened by responsibility, while the person in the more passive role may feel disempowered or unheard. The power of flexibility in relationships. The key to a healthy, balanced relationship lies in flexibility, the ability for both individuals to access and express both masculine and feminine energies as needed. This means that each person must be willing to step into different roles at different times, depending on the circumstances. For example, there may be times when one partner needs to take on a more active, assertive role, perhaps in a moment of crisis or when a big decision needs to be made. In this case, the other partner can offer support, emotional presence, and nurturing, helping to ground the situation with care and empathy. At other times, the roles may reverse, with the first partner stepping into a more receptive, reflective space while the other leads with confidence and decisiveness. This fluidity allows the relationship to remain balanced and dynamic, rather than fixed and stagnant. It prevents either person from feeling stuck in one role, and it allows both individuals to express the full spectrum of their energies, masculine and feminine, depending on what the moment calls for. It's important to note that flexibility doesn't mean constantly switching roles or losing a sense of stability. It means having the capacity to adapt, to recognize when a different energy is needed, and to respond accordingly. This adaptability creates a relationship where both people feel empowered to be themselves, without feeling confined by traditional gender roles or expectations. Cultivating balance in romantic partnerships. Romantic relationships are often where the dance of masculine and feminine energies is most deeply felt. These relationships thrive on the interplay of these forces, with passion, intimacy, and love all emerging from the balance between action and receptivity, giving and receiving. To cultivate balance in a romantic relationship, it's essential to communicate openly about needs and desires. If one partner feels overwhelmed by the weight of always making decisions, they should feel comfortable expressing the need for more emotional support or shared responsibility. Similarly, if one partner feels unheard or unseen in their nurturing role, they should be able to ask for more space to assert their own needs and take charge when necessary. Emotional connection is the foundation of this balance. The more attuned both partners are to their own emotional landscapes, the better they can understand when it's time to step forward and lead, and when it's time to step back and support. This emotional awareness helps prevent power struggles or passive-aggressive behavior, allowing both individuals to take responsibility for their own energy and how they contribute to the relationship. Intimacy, too, thrives on this balance. When both partners feel free to express their masculine and feminine energies, the relationship remains passionate and alive. The masculine energy brings excitement, assertiveness, and direction to the relationship, while the feminine energy brings depth, vulnerability, and emotional connection. Together, these forces create a dynamic where both partners feel seen, desired, and respected. Friendship and family dynamics. While romantic relationships are often the most visible expression of masculine and feminine energy dynamics, these energies also play out in friendships and family relationships. In friendships, balance is just as important, though it may manifest in different ways. In a friendship where both individuals are overly reliant on masculine energy, conversations may become competitive, with both people focused on solving problems rather than simply listening and being present for one another. This can create a sense of distance, as emotional needs go unmet and the friendship becomes more about achieving or debating than connecting. In contrast, a friendship that is overly focused on feminine energy may lack direction or boundaries. Conversations may revolve around emotions without ever moving toward action or resolution. While emotional sharing is valuable, friendships also benefit from clear communication, boundaries, and shared goals. Family relationships often reflect long-established patterns of masculine and feminine energies. For example, in some families, one parent may always take on the masculine role of decision-making and discipline, while the other assumes a more nurturing, emotional role. These dynamics, while functional to some extent, can create imbalances if they become too rigid. Healing family dynamics often involves challenging these long-held patterns and allowing for more fluidity. For instance, a parent who has always been the disciplinarian may benefit from embracing more nurturing, emotional qualities, while the other parent may need to step into a more assertive role. This flexibility helps create a more balanced, supportive family environment where everyone feels valued and heard. Relationships in all their forms are a reflection of the balance, or imbalance, of masculine and feminine energies. When both energies are expressed in a fluid, dynamic way, relationships thrive, becoming spaces of growth, connection, and mutual respect. When these energies are out of balance, relationships can become strained, competitive, or stagnant. The key to healing and maintaining balance in relationships lies in flexibility, open communication, and the willingness to shift between masculine and feminine energies as needed. Chapter 9: Gender Energies in Modern Society. Navigating Societal Expectations and Cultural Norms. The world we live in is deeply shaped by societal expectations and cultural norms. These forces influence how we understand and express masculine and feminine energies, often in ways that limit our capacity to achieve true balance. From childhood, we are conditioned by a set of expectations about how we should behave, what roles we should play, and what qualities we should prioritize. This conditioning can make it difficult for individuals to fully embrace both their masculine and feminine energies, leading to internal conflict and a sense of disconnection from the self. Understanding how societal norms shape our relationship with these energies is a critical step toward reclaiming balance. In this chapter, we will explore how modern culture often distorts or confines the expression of masculine and feminine energies, and how we can navigate these pressures to live more authentically. By recognizing the ways in which society reinforces certain traits while discouraging others, we can begin to question these norms and cultivate a more integrated, balanced approach to life. The overemphasis on masculine energy in society. Modern society places a significant emphasis on masculine traits, particularly in the realms of work, success, and leadership. We are taught from an early age that qualities like ambition, assertiveness, competition, and productivity are the keys to success. These traits, while valuable, are all expressions of masculine energy, and when they are overly emphasized, they can distort our sense of self-worth and skew our priorities. In many cultures, success is measured by external achievements, career advancement, financial wealth, and social status. The idea is that we must constantly be doing, striving, and pushing ourselves to achieve more. This pressure to be constantly productive often leaves little room for rest, reflection, or emotional connection, qualities that are more aligned with feminine energy. The result is a society that often rewards burnout and exhaustion, where rest is seen as laziness, and where people feel compelled to sacrifice their well-being in the name of success. This overemphasis on action and achievement can lead to a sense of emptiness, as individuals lose touch with the more introspective, creative, and nurturing aspects of themselves. In this environment, feminine qualities like intuition, emotional intelligence, and empathy are undervalued or even dismissed as weaknesses. Moreover, the societal glorification of masculine energy can create a sense of competition rather than collaboration. In workplaces, schools, and social circles, individuals are often pitted against one another in a race to be the best, the smartest, or the most accomplished. This competitive mindset diminishes the importance of connection, empathy, and community, leaving many people feeling isolated or disconnected from others. The suppression of feminine energy. While masculine energy is often celebrated, feminine energy tends to be suppressed or overlooked in many aspects of society. Qualities like emotional vulnerability, creativity, and receptivity are often undervalued or seen as secondary to more traditionally masculine traits. This suppression can manifest in different ways, depending on cultural norms and gender expectations. For men, the suppression of feminine energy can lead to emotional repression. From an early age, boys are often taught that showing vulnerability or expressing emotions like sadness or fear is a sign of weakness. As a result, many men grow up feeling disconnected from their emotional selves, unable to fully express or process their feelings. This emotional repression can lead to issues like anger, frustration, or a sense of emotional numbness, as well as difficulties in forming deep, meaningful relationships. For women, societal norms often place them in roles that emphasize caregiving, nurturing, and emotional labor, qualities that align with feminine energy, but without the balance of masculine energy to set boundaries or assert their own needs. Women are frequently expected to be self-sacrificing, always putting the needs of others ahead of their own. This can lead to burnout, resentment, and a feeling of being overwhelmed by the constant demands of caring for others. In both cases, the suppression of feminine energy leads to a lack of balance. Emotional intelligence, intuition, and creativity are all necessary for a fulfilled and balanced life. Yet many people are taught to suppress these qualities in favor of more logical, action-oriented approaches. The result is a world where people feel disconnected from their inner selves and from the deeper emotional connections that make life meaningful. Gender expectations and cultural conditioning. The way society defines gender roles plays a significant part in how we relate to masculine and feminine energies. Gender expectations, which are often deeply ingrained in cultural traditions, tell us what is appropriate for men and women in terms of behavior, interests, and expression. These roles can be rigid, leaving little room for the fluidity that true balance requires. For men, the expectation to constantly embody strength, control, and decisiveness can become burdensome. Many men feel that they must always project confidence, even when they don't feel it. They may be expected to take on leadership roles, provide for their families, and suppress emotions that might be seen as signs of weakness. This creates a narrow and often unrealistic model of masculinity, one that leaves little room for emotional vulnerability, creativity, or introspection. Women, on the other hand, are often expected to embody nurturing, caregiving, and emotional sensitivity. These qualities are valuable, but when women are expected to exclusively inhabit these roles, it can lead to feelings of confinement. Women may feel pressure to avoid assertiveness or ambition, for fear of being labeled as aggressive or unfeminine. This expectation can prevent women from stepping into leadership roles, making decisions for themselves, or pursuing goals that require more traditionally masculine traits. These rigid gender roles not only limit individual expression but also contribute to imbalance on a societal level. By confining men and women to narrow definitions of masculinity and femininity, society prevents individuals from accessing the full range of energies available to them. This lack of flexibility makes it difficult for people to embrace both their masculine and feminine qualities, leading to frustration, dissatisfaction, and a sense of disconnection from their true selves. Navigating cultural norms. In a world shaped by these societal and cultural norms, finding balance between masculine and feminine energies can feel like an uphill battle. However, it is possible to navigate these pressures and reclaim a sense of personal authenticity and balance. This begins with recognizing the ways in which societal conditioning has influenced our behavior and understanding that we are not bound by these expectations. One way to navigate cultural norms is to challenge limiting beliefs about gender roles. This might mean questioning the assumptions we've internalized about what it means to be masculine or feminine. For instance, a man might begin to embrace his emotional side, allowing himself to express vulnerability without fear of judgment. A woman might decide to pursue a leadership role, stepping into her assertive, decisive energy without worrying about being labeled as too ambitious. Breaking free from these cultural expectations often requires a willingness to explore parts of ourselves that have been suppressed. For some, this might involve engaging in creative pursuits that tap into the feminine energy of intuition and flow. For others, it might mean setting boundaries or taking decisive action in a way that feels aligned with their inner masculine strength. Cultivating balance in a world of extremes. As individuals, we cannot always change the larger cultural forces at play. However, we can cultivate balance within ourselves, and by doing so, we contribute to a more balanced world. This process starts with self-awareness, recognizing when we are being pulled toward one energy at the expense of the other and making conscious choices to restore balance. For example, in a work environment that prizes constant productivity and action, it's important to create space for rest and reflection. This might involve setting aside time for creative or meditative practices that allow the feminine energy to emerge. In relationships, where traditional roles might encourage one partner to always lead and the other to always follow, balance can be restored by encouraging both individuals to share the roles of decision-making and emotional support. Ultimately, the key to navigating societal expectations is flexibility, the ability to shift between energies as needed, without feeling confined by rigid roles or expectations. This flexibility allows us to adapt to the demands of modern life while staying true to our authentic selves. In a society that often emphasizes masculine energy at the expense of feminine energy, finding balance can be challenging. Cultural norms and gender expectations shape how we relate to these energies, often limiting our ability to fully express ourselves. However, by questioning these norms and embracing both masculine and feminine energies, we can begin to reclaim a sense of balance and authenticity in our lives. The journey toward balance is not about rejecting one energy in favor of the other, but about learning to navigate the pressures of modern society while staying true to the full spectrum of who we are. Chapter 10. Embracing the Divine Masculine and Feminine. The Spiritual Dimensions of Gender Energies. Beyond the everyday interactions and practical applications of masculine and feminine energies lies a deeper, spiritual dimension. These energies are not just forces we experience on a physical or emotional level. They are expressions of the divine, woven into the fabric of the universe itself. To embrace both the masculine and feminine within us is to connect with something far greater than ourselves, to touch the very essence of creation, harmony, and balance. In spiritual traditions across the world, the masculine and feminine are often represented as complementary aspects of the divine, two halves of a whole that together create unity. The union of these energies is seen as a path to spiritual enlightenment, where the integration of both forces allows us to live in alignment with the cosmos and our highest selves. In this chapter, we will explore the divine nature of masculine and feminine energies, understanding how they manifest in spiritual practices, and how embracing both can lead us toward wholeness. The divine masculine. The divine masculine is often associated with qualities like willpower, structure, protection, and the pursuit of higher knowledge. It is the energy that drives us forward, helping us to act with purpose and clarity. Spiritually, the masculine represents the part of ourselves that seeks to understand the world, to bring order to chaos, and to create boundaries that protect and define our sense of self. In many spiritual traditions, the divine masculine is linked to the sun, a source of light, strength, and energy. Just as the sun illuminates the physical world, the masculine energy within us illuminates our understanding, bringing clarity and focus to our path. It is the energy of discipline and mastery, helping us to cultivate our inner strength and remain steadfast in the face of challenges. However, the divine masculine is not about domination or control. Rather, it is about guidance and protection, an energy that seeks to create a safe and structured environment in which the feminine can thrive. In its highest form, the divine masculine offers support, stability, and wisdom, helping us to navigate the complexities of life with confidence and courage. One way to connect with the divine masculine in a spiritual sense is through practices that emphasize focus and discipline. Meditation, for example, is often seen as a masculine practice in the sense that it involves concentration, stillness, and the quieting of the mind. In meditation, we cultivate the ability to direct our thoughts, to bring order to our mental landscape, and to sit with clarity in the present moment. But the divine masculine goes beyond mere focus. It also asks us to act with integrity, to take responsibility for our actions, and to lead with purpose. It encourages us to seek out wisdom, to protect what is sacred, and to stand strong in our beliefs without becoming rigid or unyielding. The divine feminine. The divine feminine, on the other hand, is associated with qualities like intuition, creativity, nurturing, and the flow of life itself. Where the masculine seeks to bring order, the feminine embraces the unknown, the mysterious, and the unfolding. Spiritually, the feminine is connected to the cycles of nature, the moon, and the rhythms of the earth. It is the energy that allows us to surrender to the flow of life, to trust in the process of creation, and to open ourselves to the deeper wisdom that comes from within. The divine feminine is often symbolized by the moon, with its cyclical phases representing the constant ebb and flow of life. Just as the moon waxes and wanes, so too does the feminine energy within us move through cycles of birth, growth, decay, and renewal. This energy teaches us that life is not linear. It is cyclical, and there is wisdom in allowing ourselves to rest, reflect, and renew, rather than constantly striving for more. In spiritual traditions, the divine feminine is seen as the source of creation, the energy that gives birth to new ideas, new life, and new possibilities. It is the energy of compassion, empathy, and deep emotional connection. While the masculine seeks to understand the world through logic and reason, the feminine understands it through feeling, intuition, and connection. Connecting with the divine feminine can involve practices that emphasize openness and receptivity. This might include creative expression such as painting, writing, or dancing, where we allow ourselves to tap into the flow of inspiration without needing a specific outcome. It could also involve practices like prayer or contemplation, where we open ourselves to the guidance of a higher power or the wisdom of our own intuition. The divine feminine invites us to let go of control, to trust in the unfolding of life, and to nurture both ourselves and others. It teaches us that vulnerability is not weakness. It is a source of strength, as it allows us to connect more deeply with the world around us and with our own inner truth. Union of the divine masculine and feminine. In spiritual traditions around the world, the union of the divine masculine and feminine is seen as a sacred process, a return to wholeness, where both energies are integrated in perfect harmony. This union is often symbolized by the yin and yang in Taoism, where the black and white halves of the symbol represent the feminine and masculine, interwoven and dependent on one another. Neither is complete without the other, and together they create balance and unity. In many ways, the spiritual path is about returning to this state of balance, where we honor both the masculine and feminine aspects of ourselves and recognize that both are essential for growth and fulfillment. The divine masculine provides structure and strength, helping us to act with clarity and purpose, while the divine feminine offers creativity, intuition, and emotional depth. Together, these energies create a life that is both grounded and expansive, both focused and free. Spiritually, the integration of masculine and feminine energies is often described as a process of awakening, a return to the fullness of who we truly are. It is a journey of balancing action with reflection, willpower with surrender, and logic with intuition. This balance allows us to live in alignment with our higher self, where we are no longer pulled in one direction or the other, but instead live in a state of inner harmony. In practical terms, the union of these energies can manifest in how we approach challenges, relationships, and our spiritual growth. When we face a difficult decision, for example, we might first use our masculine energy to assess the situation logically, weighing the pros and cons. But we must also tap into our feminine energy, allowing ourselves to feel into the decision, trusting our intuition and emotional wisdom to guide us. In relationships, this balance allows for deeper connection and understanding. When both partners are able to express their masculine and feminine energies fluidly, there is space for both strength and vulnerability, action and receptivity, leadership and support. This creates a dynamic, evolving relationship where both individuals feel seen, valued, and whole. The path to wholeness. Embracing both the divine masculine and feminine within us is not a destination, but a journey, a lifelong path of growth, healing, and integration. Along the way, we will encounter moments where one energy feels more dominant than the other, where we may lean into action or retreat into reflection. This is natural as life itself moves in cycles, just as the moon waxes and wanes, and the seasons shift from summer to winter. The key is to remain open to the process, to honor where we are in each moment, and to trust that balance will always find its way back. The more we learn to cultivate both energies within ourselves, the more we will find that they support and enhance one another. The masculine strengthens the feminine, giving it structure and direction, while the feminine softens the masculine, bringing emotional depth and creative flow. Ultimately, the path to wholeness is about self-acceptance, accepting both our capacity for action and our need for rest, our desire for clarity and our willingness to embrace the unknown. It is about recognizing that we are not one thing or the other, but a dynamic blend of both energies, constantly evolving, constantly growing. As we continue on this journey, we will find that the more we embrace both the masculine and feminine aspects of ourselves, the more we align with the natural rhythms of life. We become more attuned to the cycles of creation and rest, of action and reflection, and in doing so we live more fully, more authentically, and more in harmony with the world around us. The divine masculine and feminine are not opposing forces but complementary energies that together create wholeness. By embracing both aspects within ourselves, we align with the spiritual truth of balance and unity. The journey toward integrating these energies is a path of spiritual growth, one that leads us to a deeper understanding of ourselves, others, and the universe. In the final chapter, we will explore how to live in harmony with these energies on a daily basis, applying this spiritual wisdom to our everyday lives. Conclusion: living in harmony with masculine and feminine energies, applying balance in everyday life. Throughout this journey, we have explored the intricate dance between masculine and feminine energies, two forces that permeate every aspect of life, from our personal relationships to our creative processes, from how we navigate challenges to how we grow spiritually. We have seen how these energies shape the natural world, how they become imbalanced within us, and how they can be healed and integrated to create harmony. But the real question remains: how do we take these insights and apply them in our everyday lives? How do we live in a way that honors both our inner masculine and feminine, allowing these energies to guide us without being confined by societal expectations or personal habits? Living in harmony with both energies is not a fixed state that we achieve once and for all. It is a daily practice, a commitment to staying aware and adjusting as we move through life. Cultivating awareness. The first step in living with balance is to cultivate ongoing awareness. Each day presents new challenges and opportunities to express both masculine and feminine energies, but to do so, we must remain conscious of where we are in any given moment. Are we leaning too heavily into action and control? Or are we avoiding necessary decisions and action, retreating too far into reflection and passivity? Awareness can come through small, mindful practices. Pausing to check in with ourselves before taking action allows us to assess whether we are acting from a place of balance. For example, before responding to a difficult situation at work or in a relationship, we can ask ourselves, am I approaching this from a place of understanding, or am I reacting out of a need to dominate or control? Similarly, when faced with a decision, we might ask, am I avoiding action because I'm overwhelmed, or is this a moment that requires patience and intuition? By practicing this kind of inner dialogue, we create space to engage both energies in a way that serves the situation best. Sometimes it will be clear that what's needed is decisive action, leadership, or clear boundaries, expressions of masculine energy. At other times, the moment may call for receptivity, listening, and emotional sensitivity, qualities of the feminine. The more we tune in to these subtle shifts, the more natural it becomes to embody both energies as needed. Adapting to life's rhythms. One of the greatest lessons from both masculine and feminine energies is that life moves in cycles. Just as the natural world experiences phases of growth, decay, rest, and renewal, we too must adapt to these rhythms in our personal lives. There will be times when we need to be in a state of high energy, focused on achieving goals, making decisions, and leading with confidence. This is the time for masculine energy to take the lead. But after periods of intense activity, it is crucial to allow time for rest and renewal, to step back into the feminine energy of reflection and receptivity. Without this balance, we risk burnout, disconnection from our deeper selves, and emotional exhaustion. Honoring the cycles of life means knowing when to act and when to rest, when to push forward and when to surrender. This adaptability applies not only to our external activities but also to our inner lives. For example, after a period of intense emotional work, perhaps healing from a difficult relationship or confronting old wounds, it's important to allow space for healing and regeneration. This is the feminine energy at work, allowing us to nurture ourselves and rebuild before moving forward with new clarity. Embracing flexibility in relationships. In our relationships, the balance of masculine and feminine energies is key to maintaining healthy and dynamic connections. Flexibility is essential. The more we allow ourselves to shift roles depending on the needs of the moment, the more resilient and connected our relationships become. A healthy relationship is not one where one partner is always the leader and the other always the supporter. Instead, it's a dynamic flow where both individuals can express leadership, decisiveness, emotional vulnerability, and nurturing when appropriate. There may be moments when one person steps into a more assertive role, offering guidance and structure, while the other provides emotional support and empathy. These roles can shift and evolve over time, and the key to maintaining balance is the willingness to communicate openly and honestly about needs and expectations. For example, in moments of conflict, both partners must draw on the masculine energy of clarity and honesty, while also tapping into the feminine energy of listening and understanding. By allowing both energies to coexist, the relationship grows stronger, becoming a space where both individuals feel empowered and heard. Staying true to yourself amid societal pressures. One of the biggest challenges to living in harmony with both masculine and feminine energies is navigating the expectations and pressures of modern society. As we've seen, cultural norms often push us toward one energy over the other, encouraging constant action and productivity while dismissing the value of rest, creativity, and emotional depth. Living in balance means challenging these norms, staying true to your own inner compass even when societal expectations seem to demand otherwise. This may involve setting boundaries at work, where the pressure to perform can easily lead to burnout. It could mean prioritizing creative or reflective practices in your daily routine, even if they don't yield immediate tangible results. It might also involve standing up for emotional vulnerability in relationships or leadership roles, showing that strength and empathy are not mutually exclusive. In a world that often values external success over inner well-being, it can feel radical to honor both your masculine and feminine sides. But by doing so, you are not only creating a more balanced life for yourself, you are also contributing to a shift in the collective consciousness, showing that it is possible to live fully, with both strength and sensitivity, action and reflection. The continuous journey of balance. Perhaps the most important realization on this journey is that balance is not a fixed state but an ongoing process. There will be times when you feel deeply aligned with both energies, moving through life with a sense of flow and harmony. But there will also be times when you feel out of balance, when you find yourself pushing too hard or retreating too far. This is natural. The key is to approach balance as a practice, not a destination. Each day presents new opportunities to check in with yourself, to adjust and to recalibrate. Some days may call for more masculine energy, while others require the softening and openness of the feminine. The goal is not perfection but a deeper sense of self-awareness and the flexibility to move between these energies as life unfolds. Embracing both your masculine and feminine sides is about living fully, about being present to all that life has to offer, without being confined by rigid roles or expectations. It's about knowing when to step into your power and when to surrender, when to speak and when to listen, when to act and when to reflect. This is the dance of life, the dynamic interplay of forces that leads us not only to personal fulfillment but to a deeper connection with the world around us. Conclusion: a life in balance. As we bring this journey to a close, it's clear that the balance of masculine and feminine energies is not just about personal growth, it's about living in harmony with the universe. These energies are present in everything, in nature, in our relationships, in our work, and in our spiritual path. By embracing both sides of ourselves, we come into alignment with the greater rhythms of life, allowing us to live with more joy, purpose, and connection. The path of balance is one of ongoing discovery, where each moment offers us the chance to tune in, adjust, and live more authentically. By honoring both the masculine and feminine within us, we not only heal ourselves, but we also contribute to a world that values harmony, compassion, and wholeness. As you continue on this journey, may you find the courage to embrace all aspects of yourself and the wisdom to live in harmony with the divine dance of masculine and feminine energies.